Nasty. Ooh, baby, that is some steamy, icy, super cold stuff. So along with this nor'easter news, it appears that we're having a real less sexy time with our roads this winter. Early last month, a record winter storm in Northern Virginia dropped nearly 7 inches of snow and ice in and around Washington, D.C., causing a major backup on Interstate 95 that left thousands of people trapped in their cars. Some were stranded for more than a full day, including Virginia Democratic Senator and teen heartthrob Tim Kaine. Kaine was stuck on the interstate for 27 hours, enough time to rewatch all the good episodes of Lost in time for the inevitable HBO Max reunion special. Just kidding, there's only one bad episode a season! Much like the passengers of Oceanic Flight 815, the people marooned on I-95 fell victim to a total lack of planning and foresight that left them trapped longer than they ever should have been. Senator Kaine told reporters he stayed alive during the harrowing ordeal by feasting on a bottle of Dr. Pepper and a single orange, a meal commonly known as the Terry O'Quinn. These Lost jokes getting you horny? Because I've very little to work with here, so I hope they are. So, in addition to encasing thousands of cars in snow and ice, the storm caused at least 867 crashes and left 846 disabled vehicles along a staggering 50 miles of I-95. The storm covered other areas of the state in more than 15 inches of snow and knocked out power to hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses in Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, and Tennessee. The Virginia Department of Transportation, or VDOT if you like to party, failed to pre-treat the roads with salt the night before the storm because the forecast had called for rain, which would have washed away the salt mixture. When the rain unexpectedly transformed into a heap of Bing Crosby horse shit, VDOT crews were quickly overwhelmed by the rapidly falling snow, leading to the cluster fudgesicle that forced former vice presidential hopeful Tim Kaine to spend a night slurping oranges and pissing in the woods. Virginia's then governor, Ralph Northam, who recently conceded the gubernatorial mansion to a racist 19th century balloonist, faced severe criticism for the disaster, particularly his failure to deploy the National Guard even though hundreds of motorists were trapped in their cars overnight in freezing temperatures. Additionally, VDOT came under fire for its slow response and for not alerting state emergency officials to the severity of the situation, which prevented food, water, medical aid, and gasoline from being distributed to stranded drivers. That really seems like something that should have been done after the first 8 hours, or by the time Tim Kaine reached the episode where Mr. Echo gets killed by the smoke monster. It's not a chronological rewatch, he's just skipping around. I'm sorry, it's been like 15 years. Anyway, so how did the state of Virginia get so thoroughly pantsed by this storm? For starters, VDOT is almost comically corrupt. A recent federal investigation uncovered years of bribery, extortion, and, cocaine dealing involving former VDOT official Anthony Willey and his deputy Kenneth Adams. Among many other things, Willey was demanding kickbacks from snowplow contractors in exchange for lucrative contracts. After Willey and Adams were convicted on public corruption charges, one of the contractors, who also received prison time, said that corruption was rampant and ongoing and part of the culture of the agency. It's not clear whether corruption had any direct impact on VDOT's bungling of the I-95 snowstorm, but if I were a betting man, I'd say that the cocaine-slinging transportation department perhaps didn't do its best. But even without cartoonishly crooked government officials calling the shots, dystopian traffic jams like this one are probably going to become more common thanks in part to the worsening effects of climate change. Ooh, yeah, honey butt, I'm talking about that steamy, hot planet Earth. That stratosphere is barely hanging on, you dirty planet, you dangerously dirty planet. You get us all so wet because of the flooding. In addition to giving embarrassing necktie dweebs something to tweet about from the Senate floor, climate change can increase snowfall during winter storms and cause extreme cold snaps like the one that transformed a simple Virginia thunderstorm into a frosty f***osaurus. Additionally, there is a theory that a warming Arctic is weakening the polar jet stream and allowing frigid air to penetrate further south. Less sexy. If that's true, it means more extreme weather events are starting to affect roadways in states that don't normally experience them, like Virginia and Texas, where last year an intense blizzard laid waste to the state's roads and power grid, leaving millions without electricity or running water and sending said necktie dweebs fleeing to Mexico to seek shelter in warmer climates. Hey, funny new tweet you got there about the time you left your state while people died, Ted. So glad you're a lawmaker. Good job. The very sad icing atop that weirdly bearded cake is the fact that the entirety of these United States, including Virginia, are completely unprepared for any kind of infrastructure stress. Because although infrastructure is a vital area of national health, the U.S. has never been terribly interested in maintaining it. As I alluded to before, a current report from the American Road and Transportation Builders Association identifies more than 43,000 structurally deficient bridges in the U.S. that are in poor condition and in need of urgent repairs, as well as over 220,000 bridges that need some degree of rehabilitation, if not outright replacement. Many of these bridges are more than half a century old, and like nuclear reactors and high school prom attendees, this is one of the areas of our society where ageism is not only appropriate, but pretty necessary. What I'm getting at here is that bridge collapses, like we saw in Pittsburgh, were super not an isolated event. There's actually been a handful of similar stories in the past few decades that have ranged in severity, including the catastrophic I-35 bridge failure in Minneapolis in 2007 that killed 13 people and injured 145 others. And just like we're probably going to see a repeat of the I-95 fiasco that left thousands of people stranded on a snowy pass like a bunch of settlers manifesting their destiny, we're probably going to start seeing bridges fail more regularly too. It's a perfect storm of climate change and infrastructure, which I'm sorry to say are two of the most deeply unsexy topics we can possibly discuss. It's like watching a youth minister do a public access puppet show about the night that you were conceived. To paraphrase the father of the internet, infrastructure, like climate change, is an inopportune problem. Something that demands a considerable number of resources without producing any immediately quantifiable results. Addressing both issues requires long-term investments, a phrase that strikes the ears of capitalist lawmakers like Rumpelstiltskin hearing his own name. Capitalism fosters a huge impatience for long-term investments, which is why infrastructure and climate change are issues the US continuously puts off in favor of grotesque military spending and tax breaks for corporations and the wealthy, until eventually it gets to the point we're at now, where an unusual cold snap can leave thousands of people stranded on the highway for over 24 hours because we're ill-equipped to manage these increasingly extreme weather events. And I don't mean extreme like in the cool way, I mean extreme in the bad way. So, I don't know, I guess the moral here is that in addition to keeping a roadside kit in your glove box, everyone should probably start stocking their vehicles with canned goods, thermal blankets, and flamethrowers. Oh, and a can opener, I guess, if you have weak grip or a less powerful set of jaws. And better throw in a box of chocolates and some roses, maybe a DVD copy of Hitch, for Valentine's Day, I guess, or whatever. It's just generally a good idea to keep an emergency copy of Hitch in the holster. Perhaps your special someone will even like one of the probably very good products we're about to discuss in these ads, right? That's as good a segue as any. Or, well, I'm sure there are better segues. Point is, remember, this was all totally unplanned, so I think I'm doing pretty well. Knock, knock! Open up in the name of the law! It's me, Professor Cozy of the Comfort Police. I've been possessed by the ghost of George Washington to tell you about Brooklyn's President's Day sale. Might have mixed too many gimmicks there, actually. But I'm just so darn excited about how you can save big on Brooklyn's 5-star collection of cozy essentials, like their signature bed sheets, and also towels and loungewear. So excited that I could roar, because I'm also a dinosaur. Brooklinen has everything you need to create your dream space of comfort and luxury. So why not live like a cozy little bear? I certainly do. This old bear dinosaur George Washington Comfort Police professor can't get enough of that snuggle bug lifestyle. I'm an ant, you see. Anyway, don't sleep on these savings. Brooklinen's President's Day sale is right around the corner. Or maybe you're watching or listening to this after the sale. Well, you can still get the deals of your dreams at brooklinen.com with promo code More News. That's brooklinen.com, BROOKLINEN.com. More News is the promo code. Roar! Ant ghost president noise!
Hello, news folk. You know what really salts my apples? Not being able to watch the film Das Boot whenever I want. Sure, Yeah, I guess I could rent it, but why should I have to pay for a German war drama? Netflix has it, but only in the UK. We Americans deserve to see Das Boot, and so luckily, ExpressVPN has us covered. By using ExpressVPN, I can control which country I want Netflix to think I'm in, giving me access to Das Boot and probably a bunch of other shows and films, but I haven't checked yet. And you know what the best part is? It's not just for Netflix. I can use ExpressVPN to unlock